Hello,
Hi, Scott.
hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, whoops, sorry. There we go. Good.
Hello. 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 Bailey?
Hi, Donnie.
Okay, there you are. I was just getting pieces here. Who else is here?
We have Scott, Ethna, and Mark Beauregard.
Oh, okay. Let me find. Hold on. Okay. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, I'm going to open this meeting of the Rangeley Ordinance Committee on March 3rd, 2021 at 5 p.m. First thing is open the meeting, which we did. Any adjustments to the agenda?
And
That was no, I'm assuming. I can't. You're breaking up, that's my problem.
no adjustments.
Okay, so we'll move down. Correspondence? None, I'm assuming. Okay, yep. Continuing business, Chapter 38, edits from the Planning Board, Town Attorney, AvCog, and Code Enforcement Officer. Okay. Okay, we have this list from last time. I'm assuming it's the same.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So we want to start at the top and work our way down?
that's logical.
That works. Okay, first thing on here is anointed version 3803, clean version 3803, alternative energy section. Does anybody have anything about this? I have a couple things, but you guys can go first.
Actually, this is simply where it's located, right? I mean, I didn't find it full 3803. I found this one page here.
Yeah, it's on, let me think. I got it here.
That is correct, Scott. All this top line is her letting us know that that's where it's showing up in the annotated or clean version of the edit.
That's what I understood it to be, because it didn't really have a
Yes.
whole lot of other stuff with it.
Nope.
Yeah, there's also, it's on page 3822 on the list of stuff.
Right.
Town code, land use, stuff like that.
Well, I understand.
Mike?
I've got all that, but I'm saying 3803 is really just an index, really.
Yes, exactly.
So they're going to give it its own section.
Well, what I thought we probably ought to do, and we probably ought to write a standalone for this. I don't know, did you guys get the stuff from Aaron Beauregard, from Mark?
Yeah.
Okay.
Much more
And,
involved than ours.
Well, it also is different in a lot of ways. I noticed Rumford, they don't start at 10 kilowatts, they start at 20 kilowatts, kind of, and go up from there. I'm just afraid, I don't know. I just think it probably needs its own standalone ordinance. And I may be wrong, but this brought up to me that maybe we were charged with doing this back when we did the windmills.
Yes. So
Anybody?
I'd like to, Yeah, Donnie, if I could just follow that up.
Yep, go ahead. Yep.
We, as the ordinance committee, had been tasked by the Board of Selectmen to take care of both the wind, the solar, there was a couple of other ones they had handed us, and we had gone through the wind process, but we hadn't started really diving into this solar process yet. So
That's
I'm
correct.
just, what I'm finding interesting right now is somehow we got usurped. Somehow this seems like a quick, fast, down and dirty way to get this into an ordinance, when we as the ordinance committee were tasked with making a standalone ordinance for solar.
Yeah. That's how I remember it anyway, that we were tasked with, we did the wind. And then, I don't know if, for one reason or another, it was never, the solar part was never dealt with. So I'm assuming that means we can just go ahead and write one. You know, without asking the board, the selectmen. I don't know.
My
I'm assuming it
understanding,
does.
I am so sorry, Donnie, I didn't mean to interrupt. So my understanding is we were
No,
already
go ahead.
tasked with doing so.
Right. Okay. Bailey, you have anything about that you'd like to add?
I wasn't aware that the ordinance committee had been tasked to create such an ordinance. So that's why with the planning board, we went ahead and put something in there just so
Okay.
with projects that have come across my table and the planning board's table, we felt it was important to get something.
Okay. Yeah, it was a while ago. I mean, I don't remember exactly after May, but
I
Well,
think
and
it
I
was
am
before
so
my
sorry.
time.
Yeah, I am so sorry. I intended to have that information with me when I came into the meeting, but given
That's
that I have
okay.
2 jobs, I'm still stuck at one of the other ones and didn't make it
No,
home
no,
to my
no, no.
binder.
yeah.
But I can
We
certainly
can
pull up
find
the
out. I mean, it was. Yeah, it wasn't 10 years ago or anything. It was a couple of years or something.
I
Yeah.
think it was before my time
So-
on the board.
Yes, it may have been
So
before
that's
you.
going back about 4 years, 3 or 4
Yep.
years.
Yeah. Something like that. Because I remember I can't remember who was on the board at the time, but I don't remember, to tell you the truth. Anyway, so what do you guys think we ought to do about this?
Well, I think if something this important, it needs to be addressed properly. Looking at some of the other ordinances, they're, like I said, it's like, I don't see a whole lot in here dealing with some of it.
Well, that's my thinking, and also some of them have different, requirements than we do, and different ways of doing stuff. And what I think we probably ought to do is put the ordinance. Well, there is no ordinance. We'll put alternative energy back into essential services for now, at least the solar part, and leave it the way it was, and then we'll go from there instead of going from what it was to changing it now and then rewriting it again. If you guys get my point here, kind of.
So where does it
Yes.
where does it stand now? Where do you have anything dealing with solar at this point?
In the ordinance
You
that,
don't.
or not an ordinance, but in what the planning board has done.
No, we don't.
Right.
So we have no regulations governing solar.
Correct.
Well, the only thing before it was the code enforcement officer. Because it was an essential service, it fit under what he or she can allow.
If I might make a suggestion,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything currently in the works?
No.
Then wouldn't it be better for us to put a momentary, i.e. 3-month moratorium on this so we can do it rather than putting all this on our code enforcement officer? It's not really fair to them.
Well, I mean, it's been under the code enforcement officer forever because it was if you read the essential service thing, and
Yeah.
it was under, they took it out of essential services and put it into alternative energy section, which.
Yeah, I don't know if it fits under essential services, actually. I mean, what it's producing is, but there are other ways of getting what you want. So that becomes a
Right.
sort of a gray area.
Well, so far it's worked. I mean, they had, the code enforcement officer was in charge up until, it still is, until this has changed. But they want to take it out of essential services, which it is, and separate it out, and then add these little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things to change on the who can control what, and some of it they've just taken right out of places that I don't see why you shouldn't be able to have one. My point, until we dig into this more. But if you look at that chart, and also the size that they put in here, if you look at some of these, the sizes are different. They allow bigger ones for less oversight, or not oversight, but where you can put one. So, and since
Right.
nobody's even
But it may make sense.
addressed putting one,
That was one of the questions, is where were the ranges derived from? I mean, they went 0 to 10, 10 to 100, over 100. I mean, it's okay, nice break
Right.
point, but was there, where did that info come from? Did somebody say, oh, this would just be good, or was there some industry standard that was used? Where did that info come from?
as far as I know, that the planning board came up with these figures, and I think it was probably Wes Dugan, because he's the electrician on the board, actually. I think is that right, Bailey? Do you know?
Yes,
I
Wes
think I was
said
told.
it was a suggestion from Wes for the 10 kilowatt.
Okay.
I was just curious.
Okay.
I mean, were these just pulled out of the air, or was there some thought behind these? Because I have a degree in electrical engineering, and I haven't worked with it for a while, but you learn some of this stuff. And so
Yeah.
you begin to question, where are they pulling these numbers from?
Yeah, because they are different in some of the other ordinances. So now I asked that question, a while ago, and the answer was it was West. So anyway,
That's fine. And
that's what I was told.
they may be perfectly acceptable ranges. I just did not know where they derived from.
Right. And I don't know. I just think it'd be easier to put it back the way it was and let the code enforcement officer deal with this thing for a few months, and then we can just go at this and figure out which is the best way, because it's going to be eventually a big thing. And now I think they allow, actually, you can downtown commercial, you can put one, and blah blah blah. So I don't know. I just like to get this on as a standalone ordinance rather than mix it in here. But that's just my thinking. Anybody have any thoughts on this besides still?
I tend to favor a standalone as well, only because I think you need to make sure
Everything's
it's
in
our
it that we need.
needs.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess if we want to do that, we can just make a motion to do it and ask them to put the alternative section back into essential services and leave it alone until we can, we get an ordinance, and we're going to start working on it. So,
If I might, but I think maybe
yep, go ahead.
to hold our own feet to the fire, we maybe should put a timeline on that. Because I know how things work, and yeah, we're working on it, but I think we need to have some sort of specifics here. Not to crimp us, but at least to keep us moving forward.
Okay. Yeah. I don't believe we can get it. We can't get it into June.
No.
But I think through the summer, we can probably have it ready by fall. early fall. So, I mean, we couldn't, there might be another reason to have a vote or something else by fall. If not, it'll be next June before we can vote on it. Of course, we are having a special one next week. So, anyway, it's up to you guys what you want to do.
Bailey, what would be the impact on you if it gets pushed off till next June?
It would be
Or
similar
next
to
fall.
what it is now. I really only get applications for residential solar projects at this point.
Right.
So those I am just having them, I'm working on developing an actual permit application, but at this point, they're just filling out a normal permit.
So really quick,
I mean,
Donnie, can I
That
just,
part, you would, yeah, go ahead.
so I completely agree and totally think that it should be a standalone and that perhaps we do request that, the alternative, anything that had to do with the alternative energy and the essentials services that was sent to us be tabled until we can compile a updated. But I was curious if we wanted to go ahead and move on like the lighting, the removed internal illuminated sign notes, and the scenic byway definitions.
Well, I think
At
the rest of these changes are valid. Yeah, let's look at those.
Can I get a motion saying that you'd like to remove the alternative energy sections? And I don't know if you want to put it in the same motion about creating the new ordinance or not, but that's up to you.
I would. Might as well. Since, doing that and not doing the ordinance, so. If somebody wants to make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we remove the alternative energy section from this and work on creating a standalone ordinance.
Okay. Well, we can put it back where it belongs in essential services, and that way we still have some stuff in there that Bailey can go by.
Okay.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of eliminating it, just put it back where it was and leave it the way it was. Kind of. Yes?
So the motion is to leave things as they are, because this change hasn't been incorporated yet, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
So we don't have to say we're going to put it back. We can just say we're leaving them as they are while we work on. We're not going to put them into that section. We're going to leave it as it currently stands and work on creating a standalone ordinance.
Yes, that'd work.
Right. So it's essentially tabling the amendments to alternative energy essential services, land use table, alternative energy section, and the solar system definitions.
Yes.
Yes.
That sounds correct.
Okay. And you want to add that we're going to write one just so it's in there in case they freak out.
Per the previous directive of the Board of Selectmen, I do apologize. I don't have those dates. I can get them to you.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 Who was the
Motion
second
carried.
on that?
Me. Sorry.
Whoop.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so next we have land use table notes.
Nope, that was
I
part
have
of
that.
the.
Yep.
Unless there was anything about the lighting, the signage, and the scenic byway in the land use table. My understanding was the changes to the land use table were specifically geared towards that alternative energy essential services piece.
Well,
If not, I apologize.
A lot of it, there were a couple of other little pieces.
Perfect.
Daycare center, daycare home, that's in red here. So I'm assuming that, I don't know if that's added or what, why is it in red if it's not a new piece? Just above essential services.
It was new previously.
Okay, so that's already in there. We don't have to deal with that. I see it in red and to me, that's like, oh, this was being added or changed.
It was added in this total edit of chapter 38, but it was there in previous meetings where we reviewed.
Okay. So the land, we're still talking Are we talking daycare here, or are we talking the land use rules?
Well, I would just, it's under the land use table and part of the, like I said,
Yeah.
there was the daycare center, daycare
Daycare.
home, and they were in red. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Oh, and Mark has his hand up, Donnie.
What's that? Oh, okay.
Mark has
Mark?
his hand up.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Yes, as I mentioned at the last meeting, I haven't had a chance to dig into the daycare portion of this, but I have concerns about making the availability of daycare too restrictive, because it's one of the major obstacles that prevent women from being in the workforce. And I think we want to ensure that anybody interested in running a daycare and providing this service for people that need to have jobs to raise their family, that we make it as reasonable as we can. And I don't know how these changes affect what we already have, but I would just like to point out that I think that's pretty important these days.
Well, the,
Yeah.
if you go to 3887, they have some definitions. And the daycare center is for a larger population, 13 or more children. And daycare home is for a small operation up to 12 children. They say 3 to 12. So
Right.
basically what they're saying is if it's a home operation like what we have now, those are pretty much everywhere except industrial or resource protection.
All right.
And the other one, the daycare center, which I'm assuming because they're looking at that as
Yeah, that's-
somebody opening a center and building it up, that whole, an actual building. They've restricted where that can go to downtown commercial or commercial.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a little restrictive.
I think that's what Mark's point is,
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
exactly. There's not much town to put one. Where are you gonna? Yeah.
so I mean, it's on the large scale end of things that it's being limited, not the small operator.
Okay. So, Bailey, did they change this?
So daycare centers and daycare homes were not previously on the land use table. This was added as part of adjusting our shoreland zoning ordinances. It's a requirement by the state. We follow state guidelines for this. So the difference between daycare center and daycare home as defined is following what state requires. And the allowing of a daycare center in just commercial and downtown commercial is following the idea of it being a commercial facility, like a school would be.
So the state says that you can't have a center in shoreland, woodland, residential, or village.
The state doesn't restrict that in zoning ways. The state doesn't have zoning regulations like municipalities do. That was by the planning board.
Okay.
The
Yeah, I don't know why they.
state regulates the not allowing in resource protection
I get
and
it.
shoreland.
Okay. So it was the planning board that said no to these things up until commercial downtown,
Yes.
basically. Yeah. Okay. Well, that needs to change, I think. I mean, that's really restrictive. Where the heck are you going to put one downtown? Or, a commercial or an industrial park. Anybody have any thoughts on this besides me? I'm assuming.
I do.
Go ahead.
It seems to me that especially woodland, which is low density residential, which is supposed to incorporate mixed uses and things like that. If somebody has several acres, in a house and a big yard and things like that, and two sister-in-laws want to run a daycare out of one of their houses and, work together, to look after 13 to 14 kids, I don't really see why that shouldn't be allowed to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I could do it I got 5 acres and I can't see another house. But I can't do one.
Well,
Not that I'm gonna,
I think there's a
according to
difference
this
here.
anyway.
There's a difference here between a daycare center and a daycare home. And the state does
Exactly.
put regulations in as far as what requirements are for various things and how many age you need and what type of training they have to have and
Yep.
how much space you need per child when you start getting into the bigger pieces. That I think that's so there's a cutoff here. They're not saying you can't run a daycare. They're saying you're limited to 13, under a certain 12 children. That's the
Right.
difference here.
Yeah, I understand that. You're gonna have to, jump through a lot more hoops to get the center than you would to a home one. But my problem is where they've only allowed it in a couple of places, downtown and commercial.
I can't speak to exactly what the planning board's decisions were. A lot of the research for daycare centers was done before I took over this project. I will say that
Okay.
for, at least in terms of residential and village, the planning board concern was that people's peaceful right to a peaceful property. So starting a daycare center next to someone's house, those were their concerns with allowing them in residential and village zones.
I don't know. I see daycare places all over the place. I mean, with, in neighborhoods, that kind of stuff. So I don't know. But what do you guys think? Ethna, you have anything on this?
Yep, so sorry, Donnie. I'm trying to multitask and failing at it miserably. Well, I mean, it's like any other, essentially like any other small business, except for this one impacts the workforce. I mean, we want to be as open and available an area to small businesses, and we need to be able to have a place for the workforce to have their childcare taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, I mean, does it really adversely impact somebody, your neighbor, if you hear a bunch of kids playing next door? I suppose for some people it could. I mean, for some older, crotchety people, it certainly could.
Yeah, but you could live next door to somebody with 7 kids also.
And there's the thing. I mean, I don't know about, I don't know about the majority of the population in town, but I know that this town is so huge on community involvement and doing everything they can for the kids that I can't imagine a childcare next door to anybody. I would welcome the sound of children's laughter and playing and yes, even crying. I can't imagine it would that adversely impact somebody's peaceful property ownership to have a childcare service next door.
No, you can never say never, but you wouldn't think so. But I just think it's way too restrictive here. I mean, as I keep saying, they only allow it in 2 places. That's crazy. I mean, do we want to make a motion maybe and ask them to rethink this?
Well, who's going to rethink it? Is it going to come back to us?
It'll go to the planning board. They're the ones who did it.
At this point, you would be making the change. The next step is going to a public hearing with any adjustments that you are making here.
Okay. So we're not sending it back for them to fix it. What we think should be fixed. We're just going to go ahead and do it, and then, see what happens.
Basically.
So, yes. So it's going to go back to the planning board. The planning board will host a public hearing, and from the public hearing, they may make changes to follow that. But changes that you're making tonight will be taken into account.
Okay. All right. So if we send a request, they will just sort of look at it, leave it the way it is, and go to the public hearing and then explain to the public hearing?
No, I will, if you make a motion to change things tonight, like removing the alternative energy sections, I'll remove those, or I'll change these two lines. And when it goes to the public hearing, it will have those changes.
Okay, got it. Now I get it. Well, if somebody wants to make a motion, if everybody's on board with this.
Well, what areas do we want to open up?
Pretty much everything. Resource protection, shoreland, woodland, definitely, residential, definitely, and village, definitely. Shoreland, I don't know.
It can't be in shoreline by state guidelines.
Okay, so that eliminates that problem.
I
Cross
wouldn't
that
want
off.
anybody's kids to drown either, so I wouldn't want it in shoreland anyway.
Well, that's a whole nother kettle of fish, so to speak. Yeah, the insurance might be prohibitive
Well,
if you're near a body of water.
what I'm hearing is we're recommending woodland, residential, and village in addition to what's also there.
Yes.
Bailey, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
I'm back on not the home aspect, but the center aspect. If someone wanted to build a daycare center, let's say they wanted to build it in a residential area, would there be restrictions on the building in a residential area, not the building use, but what they can build there?
It'd be just like any other building restriction. They would submit the building permit, and it would go to the planning board. So the ones that we're adding are still going to be planning board review as an occupation, as a commercial occupation. So with that,
There's still some checks and balances.
Yes, so it wouldn't just be, it would be a regular building permit, and then in addition to, they would have to have a separate application for like a conditional use permit to do the daycare center.
Yeah, because I'm sure the wiring has to be protected, and the outlets and all that stuff. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of stuff you have to do if you're watching kids for the day. But that doesn't affect this, though. This is just location. I'm sure the state has a ton of stuff you got to go through to have a center. So, anyway, somebody wants to make a motion, we can. Am I still here?
Yeah, we're still here.
Oh, okay. We need a motion.
Well, you can make the motion, and one of us can second it, Donnie.
I know, but usually I'll make it. It's no big deal. I make a motion that we adjust the daycare center part of the code to include woodland, residential, and village.
I'll second that.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Ethan is muted.
Ethna? Ethna? No. I I can't see. Can you guys see her?
She's muted.
But you can see her is my point. Can you wave at her or somebody?
No, she's on a, there, no, she's just on a, in fact, I don't see her anywhere now. There she is.
Ethna, can you hear us?
Am I still disconnected?
Yeah.
Now we can hear you.
You there?
Oh, there I am.
Okay.
So sorry,
we
guys. I
had-
was
No.
in transit.
Okay. No big deal. I made a motion to include the Woodland Shoreline Residential and Village into the daycare center part.
And was there a second?
Yes, I
Yes.
seconded.
Perfect.
Yep.
Are we
All
at
in
the
favor?
vote?
Yep. Aye.
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 Cool. All right. Now, what are we up to?
Who
Lighting.
knows?
Anybody have anything on the lighting?
No, I mean,
I don't have a problem with lighting. Ethna, you have anything with lighting? Yep, she muted still.
I am
Again.
so sorry, guys. I am having connection issues, so I may have to call it early. I so apologize,
Okay.
but there's still two of you,
Yep,
so you
yep.
should be. I'm good with the lighting one.
Okay. How about Scott? You good with
Yep.
lighting?
yeah, it's fine. I mean.
Yeah.
Hasn't been an issue, so.
Okay. They want to remove the internally illuminated sign note, which was prohibited by the other ordinance.
Well, I
Will
mean,
they continue to be prohibited or no?
Internally, okay, it says removed internally illuminated sign note, and under that it says internally illuminated sign prohibited.
well, what was the internally illuminated sign note? Because that's, sign prohibited is on another section, 3873. This is on
Right.
3871.
They've been prohibited right along. Yeah, we wrote that a long time ago. And I don't know what this. I apologize, but I don't know what
Bailey.
this.
I was
The
just going to ask Bailey for
specification-
input.
Yeah, the specification, the note that was removed was a specification on the design of internally lit signs. It stated internally lit signs should have an opaque or dark background to minimize glare and lighting impacts. We removed that because it's no longer relevant because they're not being allowed.
Yeah, so if you don't have a literature,
Okay.
that's fine.
All right. Okay. Yep. Is everybody good with those?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't have the signs, you don't need the notes, so.
I know. It's like, really? And I apologize, and I didn't go look it up.
I did have one other question though on 3873.
Yep.
It's
Go ahead.
number 25. It's in yellow. I don't know if that's being added or anything like that, but why is that in yellow?
No.
That was added previously. I don't know why some things are in yellow.
Okay.
That
I
will
was
be
just-
removed at the end. It will be removed.
Because as I'm looking at that and I'm just curious, like, okay, I understand they don't want you to put a sign on a utility pole or a street sign or something, but why do they?
I don't know. You guys still there?
Sorry, what was that question, Scott?
You got
Hello?
cut off at the end.
Yeah.
I
I am
think
so sorry. I'm gonna have to go. This is not working.
he's frozen. He might have lost connection for a moment. I think
Okay.
I think we
Well-
cleared up his question though.
Okay. We only have 2 things to go. Hopefully we can hang on here.
Okay. We're gonna try. We're gonna try.
Scenic byway definition. I don't have a problem with that either.
No, I don't either.
The last
Is
note
he
with
still
the last note with the solar, that will be removed with the rest of the alternative energy since it won't be necessary.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Got it. Okay. Is Scott still froze?
Scott got kicked off somehow.
Okay. Well, I think we're pretty much done, aren't we? Now, what did I do with the agenda? Oh, it's on my phone. 5, 3, 4. Okay. Any new business? That would be no. I'm assuming.
Work on a solar power ordinance next time.
Yeah. Exactly. Next meeting will be March. I don't know. I have to look. Probably should have figured it out by now, but anyway. On the 17th.
17.
Would you like,
Yep.
do you
St.
want to
Patrick's
hold
Day, by
that-
the way.
Yeah, would you like to hold that meeting or do you want to push and do the first meeting in April and give you some time to look over the solar ordinance?
Sure.
That is a heck
I
of an
know
idea.
somebody else. You like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
wait a
that'll
minute.
give us
I have
time.
a problem.
That'll give me
No,
time to come
no.
up with the one that we had, because I know we had a couple of draft ones in front of us already for this solar thing. And then to go through all of the
Yep.
stuff that we got from the Aaron, all of the stuff that we got from Aaron, we can look over that too.
Right. Yeah. Also, I have on the 7th of April. I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be in Florida.
What? You can Zoom from Florida.
Well, I know. I can actually. I'm just letting you know. My second
And we
shot
won't
will
put you
be
to
on
the
the
beach.
24th. So 2 weeks after that, we're out of here. Anyway, but I'll be on the road on the 7th. We're going to drive down, but I can Zoom. It's no big deal. I can do it from the car for that matter. And I probably won't be back till the end of the month, so I can still Zoom on the 21st, so that's not a big deal. And I can Zoom because Virginia will have her laptop. She won't be using it, I hope. And so that's just FYI stuff. I'm still going to be on. I can Zoom, so I'm assuming we're still going to be Zooming.
Yeah, probably.
So we're gonna say
Forever.
April 7th, what time?
What's that? I'm sorry, I didn't get it all.
We're saying April 7th, what time?
Oh, 5? You guys want to just make it 5 from now on like it used to be, or does anybody want to change it?
No, 5 is fine.
Okay. Good for you, Bailey, 5 o'clock?
That's great for me. I get home sooner.
There you go. And Scott's still not among us, or is he still?
No, I think we lost him.
Okay, all right. So we'll keep it at 5 o'clock. And on the 7th and the 21st, or on the 17th, March, April. On the 7th and the 21st. And we'll go from there. Anybody have anything before we adjourn?
Nothing for me.
Motion to adjourn?
You got it.
Second? Me? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bailey, for all your time.
Absolutely. Thank
Yeah,
you. guys.
Bailey, great.
Have a good
thank you.
night.
You too.
So anyway,